So we're all suckers for a great pair of headphones, and they don't get much better in my mind than Beyerdynamic. This week, I thought what we'd do is put two of my favourite pairs, up against one another head to head. No pun intended. We're going to get the good old DT770s, my favourite headphones for the last 6 or 7 years, and put them up against the new kid on the block, the Beyerdynamic DT700 Pro X's. Hey, welcome back. Lovely to see you again. If you've subscribed, that's great. And if you haven't, well, you know what to do. All the buttons are down there, and drop me a like as well. It really helps me and the channel out. It means the video gets sent out to more people so we can help grow this channel during the course of the next few months. So as I mentioned, what we're going to do this week is look at two of my favourite pairs of Beyerdynamic headphones. The DT700s have been my favourite headphones for so many years, I don't even really want to remember. And I didn't think much about changing them until I came across these at the back end of last year, brand new from Beyerdynamic, the DT700 Pro X. So we're going to listen to them, or I'm going to listen to them, put them up head to head, let you know the pros and the cons and what you can expect from each pair of headphones. The company itself, Beyerdynamic, has been around for very nearly 100 years, believe it or not, and their first pair of headphones, the DT48s, were in production for 75 years. They don't like to chop and change too much. They find a good pair of headphones and they stick with them and just develop them. And that's what I love about them. They're not a gimmicky company. They find good quality products and they make them to do their task. Then, of course, these came along in 1987, the DT770s, and they've been in, well, I'm sure you've been in so many studios with these. In virtually any studio you walk into will have a pair of these DT770s in, and for very good reason. They do their job extremely well. They've got a lovely bass, really clearly defined mids, great vocal presence, and for that reason alone, they've been a favourite with many, many sound engineers and studios worldwide. And in fact, if you go onto Radio 1's YouTube channel, you will find that these are the headphones that are used in their live lounge, so they are pretty legendary. So let's begin looking at some of the details and comparing these two models side by side, shall we? First of all, weight. These are around about 280 grams. These are about 350 grams, and you can feel the weight difference when you're holding them for sure. So it's about 70 grams worth of difference in weight. The DT770s are still available in 3 models, those being the 32 ohm, the 80 ohm, which is what I have here, and the 250 ohm. For point of reference, I tend to think of anything in the low range, around about 45 and above. The mids are somewhere around about 100 ohms, and then 250 and above are the higher range. Now, there's reasons for picking each of them. If you're predominantly going to be using these headphones on a smartphone, a tablet, or just on a laptop, then you would probably want to go for the 32 ohms. The simple reason being that they don't need much driving, so you get good volume without having to really begin to crank the volume up, which you don't want to do to protect the headphones and, of course, more importantly, your hearing. Then the mid-range ones that I have here, these are fairly general use. So if you've got a decent digital audio converter, a DAC, or an audio interface, such as a Scarlett 2i2 I've got here, or a desk, I'm also running a Yamaha desk here, those kind of headphones will be fine for you and will work across virtually all purposes. And even on a smartphone or tablet, they will still work okay. Now, if you were to go for the 250 ohms, you'll find they'll be very, very quiet. They would still work. It's all to do with the drivers inside. Just sort of briefly touching on drivers, basically it's where the coil wraps around a magnet, and for ease of description it kind of pulses, and it's that pulsing sound against the diaphragm which sits above the magnet and above the copper coil, which we'll talk about a little bit more later on with the 700s. That's what creates the sound in your headphone, and it's the thickness of the core that drives the ohms. So that's where you've got to make a choice carefully of what your use is going to be for these headphones and decide which ones are best going to suit your purpose. I went for the 80 ohm because I figured they would cover me across most bases. And if you're in a recording environment, for instance, you may well want the 250 ohm where you can just turn it up fractionally. Presumably it'd be going through a headphone amp. So say you're a drummer, you'd be able to hear the click track, you'd be able to hear yourself very clearly. And for those reasons, it just gives you the variation with the 3 models that they've got available in the DT770 range. So let's just look at the comfort and quality of these two headphones side by side, shall we? First of all, going back to the old favourites, the headband on here is detachable. I'm sure you know that, just simple popper studs on the top. This headband has lasted me around about 7 years. I've not replaced it. The ear cups I did replace last year, I think around about this time last year, so they had lasted me fairly well, but the other ones had just got a little bit flat and weren't really fitting on the ears too well. There wasn't enough padding around them. It's a fixed cable on here, of course. You can't detach it. It's a very long cable as well, which is good and bad. It's 3 meters long, which I find a little bit too long for most uses. As with all Beyerdynamics, it simply fits into the left-hand cup, so you haven't got a cable fitting around your neck, so it's a very comfortable user situation. And on the end of both cables, you have got the standard gold-plated 3.5mm jack, and it also, of course, comes with the 6.35mm adapter, so you're set for any occasion. On to the 700s, which, as I said, weigh a little bit more. The headband is more padded. Again, it is interchangeable. There's a simple little tab inside the headband at the top there that you can simply pull and remove. The ear cups removable and replaceable, and 2 is the cable. It comes with 2 cables in the box for this. You get the 3-meter cable as per the 700s, but you also get a 1.5-meter cable, so you're more adaptable. And I use the 1.5-meter straight cable. It's not coiled on virtually all occasions. It's a polished back. It hasn't got the glass fiber effect that the 700s have got. It's a flat black polished effect. The yokes are still metal, really well engineered, and as I said, a little bit heavier. There's a little bit more pressure around the head as well. They're a little bit of a tighter fit on the head, and the ear cups are just a marginally different design. I prefer them. They seem to just sit around my ears better. Being closed back, these are both great for isolation work, and they're very similar in design, but what Beyer have done is just taken all the good elements of these, and then they've migrated them and just brought them up to date with this new set of headphones, which, as I mentioned, were released late last year. Both pairs of headphones have got a wonderfully wide and encompassing frequency range. The 770s go from around about 5 Hz up to 35,000 Hz, and the 700s, just a little bit wider, go from 5 up to about 40,000 Hz. So that's a much wider spectrum than the human ear can pick up. Of course, with that headroom, it means you haven't got to drive them as hard, you haven't got to work the headphones as hard, you can protect your ears a little bit easier, and you're still going to get all of the great reference points that you're used to with these studio headphones. Okay, then on to the sound, the all-important part of this video. Try and describe to you how I hear and perceive these headphones. Obviously, sound is a very personal thing. What I tend to do, I've got 2 tracks that I always use as reference tracks. No right or wrong about it. They're 2 tracks that have got a lot of clarity to them. One of the tracks I listen to in lossless format on Apple Music. The other track, I'm lucky enough to have the master from the artists themselves, so I can play those 2 tracks. I know both tracks ever so well. There's I mention them down in the description, which tracks I use as a reference track, and I'm sure if you listen to them, you'll understand why they're great tracks. Now, with the 770s, I'd never really noticed until I put them up back to back, and I was A-Bing these tracks for many hours before making this video. These feel ever so slightly muddier. I'm not trying to be unfair or harsh on these. They picked out the highs very well. I didn't feel they picked out the vocal quite as well as the 700s, and it wasn't until I put these side by side and was literally A-Bing them, I realised how great these are on the vocals. Ever so present. They picked up every detail of the vocal, and on one of the tracks, certainly, I found there was a lot more reverb. There was a very subtle reverb on the track, but that subtle reverb was picked up in more detail, and the tail of that reverb was picked up far better in the 700. So I think they've got a better mids. They're a warmer mid. The bass on these almost got me in the middle of the chest. It was not overwhelming, but it was ever so direct, really clear and present. You had a wonderful bass response. I'd never noticed that these were slightly lacking. That's not me trying to be hard on the 770s. As I said, I've used them, and you can see the paint's wearing off. I've had these for years. These have been my trusted headphones that I've mixed and mastered on for a long, long time. But I now have realised that these headphones, again, what Beyer are brilliant at doing is finding the best parts of these and moving forward into the future with these. And that's exactly what they've done. So where there was a slight muddiness in the mids on the 770s, with these, it's clear, punchy and present. The bass gives you a very direct hit. And then I find that the highs as well were probably a little bit clearer on here, but on the 770s, but not by much. So all in all, the sound of these I just adore, which is why they become my choice of headphone for, well, the last 3 months or so now. One of the things I like about them is the fit. I managed that they've got a bit of a tighter fit to them. The pressure around the head is a little bit more, and it's in no small part due to the slight redesign of these ear cups. And the pressure that they fit around your head is amazing. It gives you such isolation, and I think that helps with the delivery of sound. One of the big things you'll notice almost straight away, I'm sure, if you're used to listening to studio reference headphones on these DT700s, is the lightning quick transients and releases. It's like something you will have never experienced before in a pair of studio headphones. And that's because of the brand new innovation, the Stellar 45 drivers that are inside these. They've got a copper-clad voice coil inside there. The way it resonates and works, as I say, makes a wonderful listening experience throughout the entire range, but it's particularly the transients and the releases that are wonderful in the mids on these, and it's all because of that brand new driver that Beyer have developed for this range of headphones, both inside of the 700s and also the 900s that I'll be reviewing very soon here on the channel as well. So make sure you get subscribed so you can catch that video as well. So which ones are for you? That's a hard one for me to say. Now, first of all, if you've got a really good set of 770s that are in great condition, aren't giving you any problems, there's no issue with the cable. I know sometimes the cable can become a little bit crackly after a lot of years of use. But if you've got a pair of headphones, DT770s, that are in great shape, keep them. There's no major need to go and buy a set of the 700s. There's a link to the 700s and to the 770s down below. If you do click on that and buy them, by the way, it does help me in the channel out. It's an affiliate link, so you will be helping me out by buying the headphones through the links below. These are clearly more expensive at the moment. They're much newer, as I say, only been around for about 3 or 4 months now. And they are an incarnation, a development from the 770s. So if you like the sound of these, and your pair are working well, I wouldn't look to rush to change them necessarily. What you are going to get with the 700s are the quicker transients, the quicker releases, and as I said to you, the vocals on these, listening closely to those 2 tracks, which I've listed down in the description as well if you want to listen to them. Those 2 tracks have made a massive difference to the way I listen to the vocal in these headphones now. I realise how very good they are, and that bass, as I say, is so direct and it's delivered so evenly and concisely and consistently that they have definitely made an improvement from the 770s, but these are here because of the 770s. There's no getting away from it. These are a development from, and I'm sure they're going to be around for many years. So which is the right headphone for you? If you've got the budget, I would suggest you try out a pair of 700s. I really don't think you're going to be disappointed. But hold on to these. I've still got mine, as you can tell. They're not going anywhere. If I go on location, I'm probably going to take these because I don't want to risk moving these around too much. They don't give you a hard travel case for either of these headphones. So I'm going to leave these in my studio, but these are still so trusted. I'll tell you the funny thing today when I put them back on, it's like an old pair of slippers. They just fit every shape of my head so well. I've worn them for so many hours. They're a lovely pair of headphones. So they are similar in sound and delivery, but you will get a better transient release and better vocals in these new DT700 Pro X's. So let me know in the comments below, has this video helped you make a decision on which headphones you are going to be using? Are you going to stick with the trusty DT770s, or are you going to try out a pair of these lovely new DT700 Pro X's with their clear transients and wonderfully quick responses and amazing vocal presence? I'd love to know how you're going to use them. Are you using them on a video project, podcast, mixing, mastering, and what DAW are you using as well? I'd love to know because I love audio and it's the kind of thing I really enjoy reading about. So let me know in the comments below. Don't forget, get subscribed. We've got plenty of great videos coming up. And at the end of this video, I will go back and put a link up for where I first received these and unboxed the DT700 Pro X's. As ever, thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you on the next one.